Picture looks like a young couple together. Can you tell us something about it?
That's my first date. We're sitting on our family's porch.
Okay, what year was that?
I wouldn't know.
Okay. The second picture.
This next picture looks very interesting. There looks to be a fire. And were you actually at a fire and you painted it?
Well, I had moved to Eagle Rock after my husband passed away, and it was the biggest commotion you ever did hear of fire departments. The hillside behind this house had been laced with plastic tubes to put out the fire, but before they could get the water turned on, the fire had damaged the tubes, so the water couldn't go down there. And it's a real miracle that the house did not burn. However, the two men that lived there and their housekeeper are standing outside looking at the fire, and I was there, and the fire department pulled their truck out of the garage so that I could draw it, and it was the fire department clocked the wind at 22 miles an hour, and it was really a very exciting evening.
Well, Kate, when did you first start to draw and paint?
Well, I was in seventh grade, I think, and I was doing pretty good, and the teacher bawled me out, telling me that my line was as crooked as a dog's hind leg, and I just quit drawing, and until Carl McWade talked me into getting interested in art again.
Well, Kate, this painting here, it looks like a waterfall going into a river. Was this on one of your trip adventures?
Yes, it was. It's up in Alaska, and we camped out close to that waterfall, and it was a great deal.
And this one here, it looks like a drawing. It looks like the side of a ship, perhaps, or maybe a pier, and some people are fishing.
A friend of mine did that picture.
Okay. And what about this one right behind you, a sailboat with some vividly colored sails? Is that from Seal Beach?
It could be, yes. This is the end of World War I. My mother got a telephone call from my father in Louisville, Kentucky, and he told her the war was over. So she gathered together some pans and spoons and took the baby over in the buggy to the schoolhouse, which was very close to our home, and she announced to the two teachers that taught the 4 grades that the war was over, and they let the school kids out, and we all were making noises and having fun.
That must have been an exciting day.
Oh, it sure was. And she was so happy because her brother was in the Navy.
Kate, of all your many paintings, do you have a favorite?
Well, that's the very last one that I did.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, well, we were coming home from the Alaska Highway, and the original bridge that we went across had been damaged by the truck drivers going too fast when they were coming downhill, and we had to come across a railroad trestle, and they were selling gasoline before you got onto the trestle, but he didn't think we needed any. And when we got off of there, we ran out of gasoline. And I had to hitchhike to go get some gasoline. But that's how I put the picture of our car in there and him pouring gasoline in there just to complete the story.
Well, Kate, this has been a very interesting morning spending it with you and learning about your books, some of your great pictures, and hearing some really interesting stories. Thank you for sharing your experiences, your art, and your writing with all of us today.
Well, thank you so much. I bet you didn't go into that room to see my art in there.
We'll probably save that for another show. Hi, we're at Kate's home. Let's take a look at her art gallery. Hi, Kate.
Hi. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Good.
We've come to take a look at your fantastic art collection here.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure. I went to a class, and the last day I didn't have anything to do, so I made the first picture of the celebration. Every art class I've ever been to, they have a party at the end of the class. And that's what this is. Then it took me one day to do that one, 6 weeks to do it in ink, and it took about a year to paint the one. That's a lot of work. And the house down there is way up past Duarte, and I did that for some people. And this is the house that goes with the drawing, the big drawing house in the other room. And that's a abstract that I did for somebody, but he didn't like it, so I still have it. And this one behind me is of my father coming home from work, and everybody wants to get the first kiss. We used to line up in the wintertime by the door and just waiting for him to come home. And the picture of the fish, that's lake trout, and I caught one of those. And these others are pictures of from my books.
Were you also a photographer?
No, but I took lots of pictures. I wouldn't say I was a photographer. That picture up there is a good picture of my friend, but he didn't like it because it had a little shadow on it. So I still have it. And there are pictures in the other rooms.
Hi, we're in Kate's living room now, and she's going to tell us about some of her works of art.
Well, I did a sculpture. They pushed me into a sculpture class because I think they needed one more customer. And I did the head of a lady, and I also did this gentleman here. And it was kind of a real fun trip, and I guess it turned out pretty good. But I want you to see this picture right here of my Aunt Catherine's that I was named for. This is off of her wedding coat, and a picture of her and a picture of her and her husband. And this drawing I did for a gentleman who lived up close to Duarte, and I don't know what happened, but he didn't have the money to pay for it, so I got to keep it. It was a lot of hard work. This is a very expensive sculpture. My husband bought it during the Depression. It was $19.75, but it's worth a lot of money now. And my picture up there on the wall is memories from when I was in France. I bought the vase, and when I got home, put water in it, it leaked. And the sculpture was made by somebody else, and but I made the wooden base for the sculpture. This is an abstract painting that I did for Carl McWade. The one next to it is from my very first class that I took in Eagle Rock. That one little one there doesn't show up very good, but I said to my friend Bob, look at those girls. And he says, I think they're overdressed. They've just got on such little clothes. They were going to the beach. This is a picture of Tex Pedigo's mother. They came across the country in a covered wagon, and she held him on her lap because he was a little bitty kid, and she didn't want him to get damaged by rolling around in the back of the wagon. They had a hard life, but they managed to get through all right. That's a collage of my photographs of our trip to Alaska and our camping out experiences. But
Hey, guys.
Well, thank you, Kate, for inviting us to your home and sharing your many paintings and sculptures and works of art with us. And we had a really wonderful time here.
well, I'm honored to be invited to show my art by such very fine people, and I wish everybody a lot of good luck.
Thank you.